Now, when does a draw feel like a defeat? Maybe most when you concede a 98th minute equaliser in the last ever Goodison Park Merseyside derby, and when a win would have taken you 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League. But if you want my honest take on this as a starting point for this video, I have to say that I would have felt that Liverpool's win, if they were to get the win here, would have felt a little bit smash and grab in nature, because I'll be honest, in terms of the performance, if you strip all the emotion out of the result and the way it came about, did feel like I wanted to see a little bit more than I did from Liverpool this evening. I want them to maybe come here and dominate the game, show that they were a little bit smarter, a bit less falling into the trap of being dragged down to Everton's level, because that's exactly what we saw last season, and we've seen it multiple recent seasons really. The amount of draws Liverpool have had here, obviously a couple of disappointing defeats as well thrown in there, and that's against Everton sides who haven't generally been of their level. So the job here, and what I wanted to see that would have been a kind of step up from what we've seen in recent seasons, is Liverpool to come, be smart, play their football, dominate, and yet they weren't really able to do that. And even though they were 2-1 up going into that 98th minute, as I say, it still felt a little bit like they could have played better, and therefore you don't maybe come away feeling like a draw is a complete travesty, because I think really on the balance of the game it probably was a fair result really. And I think Liverpool survived a few scares, didn't they? They were giving up a few shots, and they themselves didn't look particularly creative, and I think the statistics kind of bear that out really. I mean, the expected goals finished 0.98 for Everton, 0.65 for Liverpool. Shots is 10-6 in Everton's favour, and shots in the box, which I think is an interesting one, because it was that Everton were creating more dangerous moments, I felt, and they had 7 shots in the box to Liverpool 4, and 2 of those shots in the box from Liverpool come in the same move. It's when Jones gets his shot saved, and then obviously Mo Salah puts it in for what we thought at the time would be the winner. So I just think Liverpool didn't do enough to stamp the mark on the game really, and I just wanted to see a better performance really. That said, when you are 2-1 up going into injury time, you think that okay, you are allowed to grind out a win from time to time. As Arne Slot has rightly said in many press conferences, Liverpool have deserved pretty much every victory they've had this season. So for them to have nicked one in the circumstances, with the atmosphere the way it was and the way that Everton played football, you would hardly have been overly critical about it. But as I say, if you don't perform at your absolute best and you don't dominate the ball in the way that you want to, you maybe leave yourself open to the possibility of a moment like that happening, and obviously feeling absolutely sick at the end of the game, and that's what's happened. So I think a point is a fair result. It's also not the worst result in the world for Liverpool either. I'll be honest, coming into this game, it's probably the result I expected as well, given so many Merseyside derbies in recent years have ended in draws. So that's the point, that's what Liverpool have got, and they've got to kind of move on from this game. But of course there will be a little bit of fallout, and I'm particularly talking about what happened in the last moments of the game, or after the full-time whistle had sounded, and in general what happened with the officiating around this game. I'm really don't ever like to talk about referees, and I'm pretty sure everyone who subscribes to this channel will know that that is the fact, that I don't like getting into these things, because I just think a lot of the time if it's a disappointing result it sounds like sour grapes. And also I like to acknowledge that referees have got a really difficult job. But all that said, I am probably going to have to talk about it today, and I've already had posts on social media to me saying you're going to have to mention the ref. Now of course the reason I'm saying that is at the end we see real controversy, don't we? An absolute melee on the pitch, and then some words said down in the corner in the manager's dugout as well. So the upside of that, or the outcome from that, is that Arne Slot, Sipka Hulsoft, Curtis Jones, and of course Everton's Abdoulaye Doucouré all see red cards in that last moment, and it kind of sums up the mood in the ground in those final moments in terms of confrontational. But I also think the fact that Slot and Hulsoft get red cards, I think that's got a lot to do with frustration over the refereeing performance. Now it's probably hard to argue with the red cards at the end. There was a scrap there between Jones and Doucouré over Doucouré celebrating in front of the away end. Obviously he rightly gets sent off for that, and Curtis Jones rightly gets a red card of course for getting involved in that situation. But beyond that, the Slot and the Hulsoft red cards obviously come from them feeling really hard done by around how this game was refereed. And as I say, don't like to get into refs too much, but I do sympathise with that view a little bit on the basis of what I've seen here tonight. I mean, you look for starters at the equalising goal. It seems to me there's a clear shove on Konate in the build up to that goal, that when the ball is right near him he probably would have got a head on it. that's a pretty controversial moment to overlook after they check the offside. Why not check that moment and give that a little bit more scrutiny? I know you don't want to nitpick and find reasons to disallow goals, but on another day that very much could have gone in Liverpool's favour. I'll say it's maybe, if I want to be fair about it, I'll say it's maybe one of those that could possibly have gone either way, but of course if you're the Liverpool manager you're not very happy about that. But I think what is real frustration at the end, Slot and his assistant Hulsaf, will be around the general management of the game. I think they probably were annoyed by a build-up of incidents they felt had gone against Liverpool, and if you want to support that view, look at the foul count. Everton only make 9 fouls in this game, an extremely physical big Everton side make 9 fouls in this game, and yet Liverpool, who spent a lot of the game getting bullied physically, really they commit 20 fouls. I feel like that's kind of questionable and suggests them a referee who's maybe being sucked into the atmosphere a little bit and giving the decisions around which way the crowd is cheering. That can happen to all refs. And of course, in terms of the goals as well, I've mentioned key moments in the game that the frustration builds up, not just the fouls as well, but the opener as well, the opening goal. You look at the free kick that leads to that, it doesn't look to me like a foul or very much a soft one. So again, if you're the Liverpool manager, you see that leading to the opening goal, you see the push around the second goal, and then 9 fouls to 20 seems a very strange count for the kind of game we saw. I think that's where that frustration will come from, and I'm pretty sure we'll hear a little bit more about that. Of course, for the next game, that means that Johnny Heitinga is going to be in the dugout for Liverpool. There'll be no sign of Sipka, Hulsaf or Slot because they will be serving bans, but I'm sure Arne Slot will have plenty more to say about that in his post-match press conference, and of course in the build-up to Wolves as well, because he was, I think, fairly justifiably frustrated over some of the decisions today. But as I say, don't want to talk about referees too much. It becomes a bit of an obsession at times, and I don't want to kind of go down that route because I'm not a big fan of that style of reporting. So I do want to talk about the game itself and focus on that. And there were some real positives, I thought, for Liverpool, even though this was a difficult night for them. And one of them I want to talk about, of course, is Mohamed Salah. I mean, you keep coming in from week to week thinking at some point he's going to have a game where he doesn't score or assist, or surely the goals are going to dry up a little bit and he's going to go through a rough patch or a patch where he doesn't assist, and yet he just consistently keeps delivering. Even in a game where Liverpool were really struggling to get the ball to him, he has 2 moments of magic that absolutely could have, he deserved to win the game for Liverpool, really, on the basis of his individual performance. I mean, his assist for Allister is absolutely pinpoint or brilliantly finished as well, and his goal, it's a header that comes straight at him, the ability to get the touch out of his feet and then fire it in with such speed, that just shows the class he's got. He's an absolutely unbelievable finisher, and alongside that, 4 out of 4 dribbles completed to get Liverpool up the pitch, 5 out of 8 ground duels won, and he worked his socks off as well. So another world-class performance for me from Mo Salah, and he just keeps putting them in every week, doesn't he? He's an absolutely magic footballer, and I do feel a little bit sorry for him that he didn't end up on the winning side, because he certainly deserved to. And another one I want to highlight, again, it's another goal scorer, it's Alexis McAllister. Not just his goal, which was a marvellous header, he is really good at arriving late and putting those headers in, and the way he directs it into the corner, absolutely sensational, gives Pickford no chance. But everything else he did during the game, I really liked his work rate. 8 out of 16 ground duels won, 3 out of 6 tackles, so he's involved constantly, and he seemed to be kind of locked in an individual battle with Decore, who's about 10 times his size, and I think it came off kind of honours even between the pair, which is down to how smart and how good and how hard McAllister worked. So I thought it was an absolutely magnificent performance from him, and again, he's another one who, like Salah, didn't deserve to not win this game. He would have been absolutely fully deserving of ending up on the winning side, but of course didn't think there were enough good Liverpool performances maybe to back that up and ensure that Liverpool generally came away from this game fully deserving the win. I'm going to wrap it up there because I don't want to get dragged back into refs. I think this is a game that Liverpool supporters will want to move on from quickly, but I think there's a few points you need to emphasise on the basis of this. Obviously, this result is really going to hurt Liverpool supporters, I have no doubt about that, but it really is a game on its own, isn't it? It's just unlike any other. The test that Liverpool get here in this atmosphere, particularly with it being the last Goodison derby, it always looked like a really tricky one for them, and they've come away from it without getting beat. They've got a point, they're now 7 points clear at the top of the league, and for me still the best side. And I want to say, people keep saying, you maybe emphasise the fact that Liverpool are ahead after a disappointing result, but the fact is none of us expected Liverpool to be perfect this season. And so, sometimes you're going to accept that there've got to be ups and downs, there's going to be difficult performances like that. But as Arne Slot builds his team and he adds to it, maybe they'll be able to come to places like this and manage it a little bit better and come away with the win, which, by the way, they were very, very close to doing tonight anyway. And the fact is, for me, they're still the best side in the division by a long shot, and you know, 7 points clear, and they're not just 7 points clear of, say, a peak Manchester City. You might worry about reeling them in. You look at Arsenal's injuries at the moment, and I just can't see them overturning that deficit. And I also think Liverpool will generally perform better than they did today, and so you know, there's a lot, I think, for Liverpool to be positive about, because they don't have to ever come to Goodison Park again, which is the major positive they probably have to take. They'll probably have games where it's, you know, against less physical teams, against teams who aren't 6'5" all across the pitch like they are. They'll probably get refereed maybe slightly better in some games, and so you just take the point in this circumstances, I think, and move on. And Liverpool really have to quickly refocus, because they're in this run, aren't they, now, of 5 games in 15 days. They've got Wolves to come, then Villa, then Manchester City and Newcastle. And I still think, even though it's a point here and you're a bit hurt about it, I still think it's a game where you think, okay, we take the point from that, and now try and get as many points as possible over the remaining 4 games of this run. And if they do that, then they'll put themselves in an unbelievable position to go on and win the title, which of course is the number one aim this season. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Do let me know what you think in the comments. I'm sure there'll be lots on the ref, but we'll talk about the performance as well and how you're feeling about Liverpool will do in the coming games, because there's a lot of big ones coming up. So do let me know what you think about that, and if you can drop me a like and drop a subscribe as well, that is always massively appreciated. And we'll be straight on to the build up to Wolves next, because football is relentless. So I'll see you guys very soon.